$17,000 on his very first deal. How did this YouTube subscriber from Orlando do it? Stand by. Let's get it. Hello guys, this is Ty, aka the Flip Man, and what we have here is a YouTube subscriber slash Flippinar attendee, my man David out of Orlando. He reached out to Adrian and I last week and told us he closed his first deal. And so on that particular Flippinar, I told him to reach out to me if he was interested in sharing his story to help others, get their first deal. So without any further ado, I want to welcome David out of Orlando, Florida. How's it going, David?
Good, good. Thanks for having me, Ty. Thanks for having me. It's a long journey, but I finally got it. Thanks to you and your 200 plus videos. That's a lot.
All right, man. I really appreciate it, man. You taking your time out to share your information. So just to get started, man, if you'll just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you what even got you to the point of even being interested in real estate and how you find me, and then we'll get into that first deal. So I guess basically what do you actually do now, or what do you actually do as far as a living? Because I don't think you're full-time real estate yet, are you?
No, not yet. Actually, I'm in the United States Air Force right now, going on my 20th year, so I'm about to retire. So after that, I'm about to go full-time hard at it. So, this is something I've been interested in for a while. I actually started out in Virginia because me and my brother, we actually had a house we were actually trying to turn into there's a kind of a home care style type thing with the government. So that didn't really pan out. So I went ahead and moved here to Florida. Then I started out with Southwest Airlines, and I did that for a little bit. And then while I'm trying to get things done, I'm thinking ways of what I can do to actually increase my income, trying to think of a way how I can actually get my funds up, to have a good life for me and my family. I said, hey, maybe I need to go back to real estate because I really liked it when I looked for that first house for that home care we had over there in Virginia. So I started out with that. So basically that started from there, and I started looking around to see how can I get some knowledge on what I need to do. And I said, you know what, wholesale looks like a good thing because I heard it from a couple of people. So I said, let me try it. So I started, going through YouTube, and I saw Flip Man, Ty Taylor. I was like, hey, he got 200 plus videos. I could start with that right there. I don't even need to go any farther. So I went there. I started from your old ones you first started with years ago. I started coming back, and you're right, it's a puzzle. It's a big puzzle. So, started piecing the puzzle together. When I had questions, all I had to do was type in the search, and it pops right up. So, that's how I started out wholesaling.
Okay. All right. So what was the very first, I'm assuming you educated yourself over time. How long and I'm sure I'm not the only source that you use, but how long, once you say, hey, I'm going to start doing wholesaling, to you were comfortable enough to actually make a move and trying to put, get something going, getting some action going?
I started in July of last year. And so when I like something, I'm a quick learner. So again, I didn't want to get into a mode where I have what they say paralysis analysis, where you start learning and learning and learning, and then you get stuck and not doing anything. And so I didn't want to keep learning. So I decided to take some action. Probably about a month into it, after learning, it was a couple of other people I went through, but the majority of the information I got from your 200 plus videos, and I started going from there. And then maybe a month later, I bought my first bandit signs, bought 200 of them. I put 200 out myself over a period of 2.5 weeks. And then I started getting calls. When you say bandit signs work, bandit signs work. It works. I say from the 200, I got about 15 calls out of those 200, just starting out. It was maybe about 3 of them that actually were potential deals, but I actually started getting calls. And so, like you said, it's a numbers game. So I started getting those calls, and my first deal started from one of those calls at that bandit sign. So it was a couple who was divorced.
Boom. You know, I got to do some house cleaning. First, take advantage of the same videos that David did to do his first deal. My 200 plus videos right here on YouTube that anyone can access. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on the notifications by clicking the little bell so you are alerted whenever I go live on YouTube, and you are alerted whenever I upload new videos. Don't forget about my Thursday night Flippinars, where I and guests will answer your questions live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We will answer your questions live about wholesaling houses or just real estate investing in general. If you haven't already picked up a copy, make sure you take advantage of my ebook on how to wholesale 3 to 5 houses per month. It's at a very reasonable price, and it comes with bonuses. If you like podcasts, make sure you access my podcast at flipmanpodcast.com for Android and Apple products. Don't forget about mailtoflip.com, where this would give you an opportunity to stand out from your competition whenever you can mail a postcard and or a letter to an owner with a picture of their actual property. Of course, that will get their attention. You can follow me on Instagram and Snapchat at flipman.net. That's flipman.net. If you want a copy of the one-page contract that I've used since 2003, you can get a free copy by simply going over to my site at flipman.net. You can also take advantage of my actual course and coaching options. If you have a single family property or a multi-family deal that you want to split 50-50 with me, simply get over to 5050.deals. You can submit your properties there. If you're looking for funding for your fix and flips or to jumpstart your wholesale marketing, you can get over to fundmynextdeal.com. That's fundmynextdeal.com. So now back to the video.
They really wanted to separate from each other as quick as possible. So they saw one of my signs, they called me, and I talked to them. I went by your method. I discussed the price over the phone. Yeah, because I wasn't going to see the property if we can't agree to a price over the phone. So that's what I did. We agreed to a price, and we went from there.
Okay. On your 200 bandit signs, when you put them out, you say over maybe basically like a 2.5 week period. How did you determine where to place the signs?
So what I did was I did actually some market analysis of my area, and I saw where people are buying most in which particular zip code. And then from there, I actually went to List Source, and I got a list of cash buyers from that particular zip code. And then I went ahead and started placing those signs in those zip codes where most of the cash buyers are buying. So I did some research beforehand. So that's probably why I got so many calls when I placed out those bandit signs.
Okay. Did were there other bandit signs already out in those areas?
Yes, there were. Yes, there were. It was about, well, Orlando is not really a big bandit sign area in regards to people actually putting it out. I see some putting it out, but I'm the only one who put it out printed, from direct from the website that I got, if the one that you normally go to. And I checked a few of them, but the one you suggested got the 5% off. And then I went ahead and looked around because I did some research and I saw I'm actually saturating the area with bandit signs because no one has the printed bandit signs. They're all handwritten, ones bought from Lowe's and whatnot, and sticking in the ground with those metal stakes kind of folded over because we got a lot of wind in Florida. We got a lot of wind with hurricanes. Those things don't last too long. So I actually did what you did, got the horizontal flutes. I actually used the cable ties and I stuck it around any type of pole. I went to off ramps. I went to.
Oh man, you've been listening.
Hey, off ramp. I'm telling you, those 200 videos that's my Bible for wholesaling right there. So I went to off ramps. I Like the cable ties, there's some in Orlando, some of those poles are super thick, so I had to use double ties. So that's how I did it. It's just, man, those banner signs work. I'm telling you, those banner signs
Okay,
work.
so you haven't even you even gravitated to direct mail at this point?
No, the only thing all I do was skip trace. I don't do direct mail because the thing I do is the percentage of the response rate is 1%, and I think to myself, because I actually do this type of thing in the military where I do logistics, and if you go to a business owner and say I got something that might work 1% of the time, they would like, I don't think I want to work with that. But so if you skip trace, you get it a lot quicker than just sending postcards and waiting for them to respond back to you, or letters and waiting for respond back to you. So I just actually directly call them, and I've been getting good response. So I do a specific list. I just don't. That's the one thing I don't do. I don't shoot it out to all absentee owners, but I do a specific list.
Okay, yeah, you similar to what I do also. So you were buying, you wasn't really looking for vacant houses and driving around. What you would do is buy a list, and then you would just do research on each property and then just skip trace to reach out to them either by phone only or by mail and phone.
I do by phone only. I go. I have actually somebody who actually pays to actually start making calls for me, because, like you, I'm not really that great at talking to people over the telephone. So I have to have somebody who has that knowledge and that sales skills to go ahead and do that for me. So they help me out, and so I started getting more calls, and I started getting more people calling in, and it's a lot quicker, and I can go through more lists instead of just waiting for response. And the thing is, follow up. When I call, I never get them on the first time, but
right.
follow up is the key.
Exactly.
So, and that's how I got my next ones that I have under contract, by following up, and that was about 3 months after I started making calls.
All right, let's get into your actual first deal that you mentioned on this past week's Flippinar. Just by the way, people, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say a Flippinar, what I do is have myself, Adrian, and most of the time Renikia, and we answer questions live, right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram about real estate investing in general, but mainly wholesaling. So, but let's get into that first actual deal and how it came about, and just the numbers, from putting in the contract and so on.
So as being a newbie, I looked at your videos for ARV and how you're supposed to calculate it, and I looked at the deal later and I went through that, and it showed me what I needed to pay. But I realized that the owner, they wouldn't actually
go down to the price.
Yeah, they wouldn't agree to the price I need. So I did a little bit more research, and I come to find out there was actually more buy and hold buyers than actual flipping buyers. So
in that particular area,
fix and flip, yeah, in that particular zip code. And right. So I reached out to all of them. I actually reached out to all of them to see if they was willing. Before I actually got in the contract, I actually looked out and said, hey, would you buy this type of house in this area? And I found about 3 of them say, yeah, I would buy in this area. So I kept going back and forth with the owner, and I finally agreed, even though I was kind of leery about it, but I agreed to 218. But the ARV was 305. I believe I asked you about it when on one of your Flippinars, and you broke it down, and I kind of figured out that it was kind of in a gray area, but from what I've seen with all the buy and hold people, they actually said, hey, I will buy it at that price. So I actually locked it up at that price. And
okay, so this lead came from your actual bandit signs?
Yes. That
okay.
I put up in
there. So you say you had to go back and forth with them. What was the original price that the seller gave you, or you gave the seller?
Well, I kept going back and forth and saying, what would you like to get out of the property? He's like, well, what are you trying to give me? So we went back and forth with that game. And so,
so he never did give you a price. Okay, so how did you finally get to a price?
So I gave him a dirt cheap price, looking like they was looking at me like I was out of my mind. It looked like they wanted to pull out a shotgun.
What did you offer?
Well, the house was 305, so I offered 148.
Hey, I just did that on the house, I just did that on the house yesterday. Well, was it? Well, yeah, I made the offer Saturday. Well, I saw it Saturday, and yeah, the house probably worth about 400, but it sits alone by itself. It's somewhat not. It's in a rural area, but not really. It would be considered a suburb of Birmingham, but it's a very hot area, and it sits on 2 acres. But the house is like, almost 4,000 square feet, 3,800 and something. And anyway, I made the offer because he wouldn't give me a price. You know what I'm saying? He said he was making it seem like whatever I offer him, he would take it. So but anyway, he didn't. I offer 150, and when we come back at 285, I think it's going to be a deal or whatever. But I'm just comparing what you went through with him. You say you offer 148. So what did they do when you said that?
Well, we had an awkward silence real quick. So he turned to his wife, and she turned back to him. They said, "No, we can't do that." I said, "Well, how close can you come to that amount?"
Well, you listening?
You want a video?
Oh man! Oh, that's unbelievable. Go ahead, though.
So they said, "Well, we can't go as low as 148, but what we were really looking for was 240." I said, "Well, you got to understand, your house still needs some work. I'm an investor. I have a bunch of investors with me. We're trying to make money off the property. Looking at your property, you got a bunch of holes in the area that we need to fix up. So, we have to make a profit also. I understand that you have to make money, but you got to understand you came to me because you're having problems and you don't want to go through a realtor. So I'm trying to get a price that works out for both of us. And 240 is not going to work because, with the money we have to put into it, and then we have to fix it, and then we have to turn around and sell it again. We're not really going to make too much of a profit." So they talked about it. They actually left me in the kitchen while they went to the room in the house, try to talk about it. And I said to them, we're in negotiation. You don't really have to go because you don't have to be afraid of me about what I would say or anything like that, because we need to just talk about the price so we can get it together. So they said, okay. So they actually started coming back. They came back, sat down, and they said, "Well, how close can you come to 240? Well, I said, "Well, what I got, I can't do 240, so what I can do is I can do 180. 180, I still can't do 180. So I said, "All right, how close can you come to that amount?" And so they said, "Well, we can do 220. How about this? I'll do 218. If you do 218 right now, we can sign a contract right now, then we can go ahead and do it." They said, "Okay, we can do that." So that's how we came to that amount. I was in there. I really didn't want to be in that long, but I was in there for about an hour negotiating with both of them. And so we finally came to 218. And the only reason I came to 218, like I said, there was a bunch of buy and hold people who actually would have got that price anyway. And so I was trying to get them down to increase my wholesale fee, but it wasn't happening. So I didn't want to destroy the deal over a couple of $1,000s. So I agreed to the amount.
Okay. All right. So now the contract process, did you use the contract that I offer, or did you go a different route on that?
Of course, by watching the 200 plus videos, I had to use his one-page contract. I had to use Ty's one-page contract. So I did use Ty's one-page contract. I locked it under contract with them for 218. Looked at the video to see how you actually supposed to fill it out. Did it the same way. And then I used for A and B, and then I used the same contract for C and D, and then put them together.
All right. So what did you put down as earnest money?
$10.
$10 on a $218,000 house. Yes. There you go.
Sir.
They didn't even balk at it, did they?
No, they didn't balk at it. They said, "You know what? You can go ahead and keep it." But the wife's like, "No, I need it."
Oh wow!
All right, yeah, all right, no problem. Here you go, ma'am. You go ahead.
All right. So now we got this baby under contract. So what did you do next?
Okay, what I did next is because I didn't really have buyers at the time, so.
Well, let me ask you this: did you take video, pictures, or what did you do as far as that, or did you do anything?
When I went to the property the second time, I went ahead and said, I just need to take pictures for my buyers. So what I did was I grabbed my camera, turned it horizontally, and took a YouTube video about it. Went through the house, took a YouTube video of all the rooms and whatnot. And I didn't narrate it or anything like that, but I just went through the property. Each room.
Yeah, that's what I never say anything. And sometimes the seller might start talking or whatever, but because they may follow you around through it, but I never say anything on it. So, but so you took the video, you got it up to YouTube. So, okay, I cut you off, but so what's next with as far as trying to find a buyer?
So what I did was I already had a couple of them, so I shot out to 3 different buy and hold buyers, and they was really interested. But at the same time, you know, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. So I went ahead and went to about 2 different for sale by owner sites. I went to Backpage. I went to Yahoo Classifieds. I actually put up bandit signs around, whether 15 to 20 mile radius around it, 1 to 5 mile radius around the property. And then I put it on the website called VFly. It was also shotted out to about 20 different websites. And I started getting calls on it maybe about 4 days after I did all of that. And so.
All right. So where did the buyer actually come from?
The buyer was actually one of the buy and hold people in that area. So they're the ones who came to me first. And then one thing I realized is that when you said don't deal with people who's actually dealing with lenders, you're absolutely right, because that drew out the process quite a bit. Because with buy and hold, they're normally supposed to have cash, but come to find out, she was buying it for her son, which was going through a lender, and then the lender wouldn't allow the contract that we had because they said they wanted to direct with the buyer, with the original owner, I should say.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so when I found that out, I had to come up with a solution. It's like, well, normally, you know, it takes 10, maybe 14 days to close if you have more money, but I never ever dealt with a lender. And from my experience, lenders from other investors are too much of a hassle. She's like, no, it's not a hassle. It's already approved. We can go ahead and do that. And again, this is a learning process. So I said, okay, if it's already approved, I assume the money is already set and ready to go. Come to find out, now she wanted to do contingencies on the original contract, but we won't sign the contract until we do a home inspection or do an appraisal. I said, well, the best I can do for you is actually give you the home inspection within the first 10 days. And if nothing comes from that, then I'm gonna have to move on to the next buyer. Because I know I really like this house. If he doesn't buy it, I'm gonna buy it. We're gonna make it quick. It never was quick. Never, ever was quick. So what I did, I said, look.
Well, what price did you all agree upon?
$235,700.
Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead.
And so she went through all of that. She paid all the closing costs, except for a HOA estoppel fee, because the seller was behind in HOA fees. So normally it would be paid by be part of the closing costs, but since they were behind and almost had liens, the seller had to pay, but the seller had no money. And so I negotiated with the buyer, say, if you pay that, I'll go ahead and talk to the seller to see if they can actually give that to you at closing. Of course, the seller wouldn't do it. So like I said before, I'm not going to give up $300 for a big $17,000 payday. So I went ahead and paid that for them to get that letter done. And then as we moved along, all of a sudden, now they said the roof had a little bit of problems. When initially, when they did the home inspection, it didn't. And so it was another month. So actually, I signed the contract December 28th of 2017. And then I just now closed it maybe about 4 days ago last Wednesday.
Oh, wow. So how did you get paid with the lender involved? How did you all construct that part of it?
So what I came up with, I was thinking, and I said, look, how about we do an addendum? What she did was, I said to her, you can give me a check dated for the closing date, and we have write an addendum as soon as it closes, you authorize me to cash the check. And so she agreed to it, because then she'll be able to.
You wanted the house that bad. So in reality, the lender didn't pay you. She paid you outside of closing.
Yes, paid me outside of closing. So since it wasn't on the HUD-1, I don't have to pay any taxes on it because it was considered a gift from her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's why she really wanted it bad. That's why I threw it out to her to see if she wanted to do it, and she actually did it. And at the end, she didn't actually cash the check. She just wired it to me.
Oh, wow. So what happened was, now of course you trusted her to do that because technically, she really probably didn't have to do it because it didn't prevent the sale from happening or whatever. If I'm understanding how you all did it, so you all had to end up doing a different contract with the seller and the actual buyer, opposed to the contract you originally did with the seller, right?
Yes, so I had to do a cancellation of contract of the first one that I did with the original seller. And then they actually still used the one-page contract that I had with the buyer and the original seller. So we put those two together because the seller, if they would have used the original contract that the buyer had, it was like a 4 to 5 page contract, and it would have scared them off, especially when I only presented them with a one-page contract.
Okay, so, I got you. So you had to bring the seller on board on all of that, as far as you were stepping out of the way, and the buyer was going to obviously buy the house or whatever. How did you explain that to the seller?
Well, what I told the seller was that because originally I don't tell them that I'm wholesaling. I just tell them that I'm an investment partner. Has a bunch of investment partners. And so I said, well, the investment partner originally who was going to actually buy it wasn't able to do it because the time frame it took from July to December to try to close the house. So I had to switch over to I had to find another buyer, and I found another investment buyer who wanted to buy it. So instead of me being on it, I'm gonna go ahead and put you and him together. So actually they went ahead and started not negotiating, but dealing with everything amongst themselves. So I was out of it because they already knew what was going on. She already knew what my wholesale fee was, so she had no problem with that. And the seller didn't care how much I was making off it. So I just put them together, and they was dealing with all the problems they was having. The actual seller actually sold some of the appliances they wasn't supposed to try to make money off it. And so that was $2,000. Actually, technically, I was supposed to be making $19,700, but I had to pay $2,000 because I sold it as is. But they went ahead and sold the washer, the dryer, a chandelier, and
Classic.
part of the pool equipment they had in there because they didn't have any money to move, and the buyer wanted them to move. So
I got you. Okay, so from December 28th up until last week, which was February, what is it now?
It's 26, I believe. So
maybe 26. So that would have been what, the 22nd, 21st, somewhere in there. So of last week. Okay, so not quite 2 months. With a loan being involved, that's about normal. You know what I'm saying? With a lender being involved. So, negotiations, man. The buyer showed you that they were serious about buying. This is how serious they were about buying and wanting that particular house, is that they were willing to write a $17,000 check. You know what I'm saying? So, or wire transfer at the end of the day. So, did they give you an earnest money? The buyer, did they give you an earnest money?
Originally, they gave me a $5,000 earnest money deposit because of the house was worth $300,000. So I told them $5,000, and they agreed to it. And that was the original contract that I had. But then we made an addendum because the lender wouldn't do it. So I told them just to give me the whole $17,500 check made out to me on the closing date. And then we had that addendum saying that these funds will be released upon the closing of 36, whatever the address was that I used. So
okay, I got you. So you were convinced that they were serious when they were willing to give you a $5,000 earnest money check. So hey, there you go. The only thing you had to do is just figure out how to get paid, and since they were willing to pay you outside of closing, because I knew the lender wasn't going to do it. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't work that way. So, but man, that's a big time payday for your first actual transaction. So now you got this war chest to do some additional marketing. So, well, what's your game plan now as far as to ramp it up a little bit more?
Well, $1,000 of that is going to ramen noodles, basic needs, and about to do like $15,000 worth of marketing. But I'm not exaggerating, but that's what I feel like I'm going to do because since I got that, it gives me a lot more leeway to do exactly what I need to do. And plus, I'm thinking about hiring some VAs to help me out, more VAs to help me out with the cold calling and actually get a VA lead because I'm starting to get a lot more leads now, more than I can handle by myself because I'm a one-man show over here and it's starting to ramp up a little bit more than I can handle. So I'm gonna try to see if I can do that.
Okay, man, that was a good one. That was a good one. Cause I think I remember that question from the Flippinar. I told you that was a thin one. You make it squeeze out, but I didn't know you were gonna squeeze 17 big ones out of it. But you found the right type of buyer. That's all it takes, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So because on the cash side of the game, that would have been a little tough for them, especially if it needed a few repairs. But you found someone that had the resources that they wanted. You said their son to live there. Or something like that. What, do they live next door or something, or close in the area? The ones that the person that bought it.
They literally live about 15 houses up the block.
Okay, okay, one of them situations. Yeah, and often when I'm explaining to people how wholesaling works, like a friend or family member, and they've never heard of it, and especially if they've ever bought a house before, I say just imagine that your neighbor wanted to buy the house, your house, because they wanted their son to live there. And this is exactly what I explained. And they're willing to basically pay you X number of dollars to buy you out of the contract or whatever. So most people get that. And basically that's what you did, so because they're basically bringing money beyond the loan that they're getting to the closing table to buy you out of the deal, because as we know that the lender won't agree to that. So,
and another thing about, I'm sorry to interrupt, I forgot to tell you, but another thing about that is that it helped her out too, because now she bought it at a lower price, which means that she was paying less taxes on the house, and she got a lot more incentives from the lender. So it kind of worked both ways.
I got you. Well, hey man, I really appreciate it, man. I like to leave these interviews open, just a normal meet and greet, and I'm just saying, I didn't see that coming. You know what I'm saying, on how you got paid on that. That's what's happened, man. You had a motivated seller, but you had even better, a motivated buyer or whatever, and they were willing to do, make it happen by paying you outside of an actual loan that they received. So, is anything you'd like to add before we end this particular interview?
Yes, throughout this whole process, I'm not gonna lie, it was frustrating. I didn't think it was gonna happen. I have regrets, but that's human nature. But just keep at it, keep doing what you're doing, because if you don't quit, if you don't quit, things will happen. There was a great speaker that said, I'm not sure who it was, but he said the best things happen for people who quit right before it happens. So
yeah.
So just keep going. Just look at Ty's 200 plus videos, because that's a coaching and all in by itself. You just gotta ask questions, go to the Flippinars. That's what I did every single Thursday that came around, even before they had Renikia, they had your producer. I seen when you was in your house behind the white wall making videos. Look at those videos. Like you said, all the people ask questions in there, but they don't look at the videos. Just look at all the videos before you ask the questions, because there was a lot of questions I had, but I didn't ask it in the Flippinar because I just looked in the video. So just keep your motivation up. Sometimes there's going to be downs in this business. There's going to be a lot of ups. So just keep it up, and that's what I'm doing, and just keep it moving. Just keep it moving.
All right, man, David, I really, really appreciate your time. I know this is going to help quite a few people out there to understand that, hey, it's not all cookies and cream. You know what I'm saying? It's a very simple process, but I never try to imply that it's easy. But after a $17,000 payday, it's worth it, because for a lot of people, 17 big ones is probably either all of their yearly salary or approaching the half of it or something, so that influx of $17,000 at any point in your life is normally going to be able to change some things and change it quickly, and you can just compound off of that particular deal. So, as long as you don't spend it all in one place. But I really appreciate it again, man, for you sharing your story and your information. And I always say, thanks guys for watching this, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Anybody in Orlando, come holler at me. I'm in Orlando, Florida. I know there's a lot of y'all wholesalers out there. I'll co-wholesale. I got some realtors there too. Bring you some buyers. Just come on, see me. All right. Listen to Flip. Flip Man is it right there. And thanks a lot, Ty, for having me.
No problem at all, man. Thanks, Dave.
All right then.
Yes, sir.